Girls, what are some of your hints that men don't get? I was bartending. My favorite regular came in. I waved the check at him and told him the drinks were on me tonight. And he made a "I bet you say that to everyone" joke. I replied, "Drinks are on the house only for the handsome guys the bartender likes." He gave me a look and embarrassedly said, "Glad to be the exception to the rule." Well, sort of like you work and we're told you only do it for tips or just to be polite. We watched a movie all night with our arms around each other. Then, when he was about to leave, I tried to kiss him goodbye, but he pulled away and just left. Upset, I silently went back to my room. About 10 minutes later, he calls me and tells me to go outside. I go outside, and he's shocked and yells, "Wait, were you trying to kiss me? Do you like me?" It turned out that the dude had gone out to call his buddy and ask him if he understood my gesture correctly, and if it meant that I liked him. Honestly, I once had a girl that we sat cuddled up with all night watching movies. She would throw her legs over me, put her hand on my chest, and snuggle up to me. I reached up to kiss her, and she pulled away from me and told me she didn't like me that way. Not about me, but about my old best friend and part-time roommate. A girl who was in love with him came to our house to swim in the pool. Afterward, she took a shower and left the door ajar. She hinted that she was having trouble washing the middle of her back by herself. He walked into my bathroom, grabbed a long-handled brush, just threw it into her bathroom, and slammed the door shut. After she finished bathing, she came over to me, handed me the brush, and left. I went in and asked him why she did that. He said she needed something to rub her back with. I told him that she literally invited him to go and rub her back. The dude looked at me seriously and looking me straight in the eye objected, but she had a brush. I sent her a text along the lines of, "Unfortunately, my dog isn't very bright. You need to be more direct." A couple minutes later, he bursts in on me, holds out his phone, and there's a message, "I'm on my way. Be naked." So I gave him the house and went to see a movie. My mother-in-law met her husband when they were both teenagers and working at a pizza place. She really liked him, so in her free evenings, she would go over to his place to help chop tomatoes and onions. For several months, she hinted at him, but it never came to him. One evening, she brought Hershey's Kisses candy and decided to take it to the refrigerator, but suddenly she asked him if he liked cold kisses. He said he preferred warm ones that way. She agreed and kissed him. Only then did he realize that he liked her. She blushes every time she tells this story, recognizing that it wasn't like her at all, but her intuition told her to make up her mind. They've been married for 40 years. Well, in high school, my hints were to act like I couldn't stand this guy and that he was the most annoying, repulsive person in the whole school. I was misunderstood every time. I don't even know why. Told my now husband probably 6 times. "Oh, you're such a great guy. I'd date you." In response to him talking about me being single the last time, he finally realized and asked, "Wait, really?" Edit to clarify. Many people apparently accuse me of not being direct enough. And here's what I just said to my husband, quote, "I'm sorry I wasn't direct enough when I started our relationship. It wasn't very direct of me to say I would date you." He accepted my apology. Offended single. Men can leave the chat room, just the ones who are actually willing to share their experiences. The girl I was working with would give me all kinds of hints, like hugging me, etc. One day we were discussing the upcoming fair. Here's the next conversation. "The fair is coming up. I love this event." Me. "Yeah, me too." Her. "Man, it would be so cool if someone went with me." Me. "Yeah, same thing." Her. Me. "Well, good luck. I hope you find someone to go with." I wore the crown of Lord of Idiots. I had the same thing happen to my now wife. She wanted to watch Star Wars, the first sequel, and said she had no one to be with. I looked this woman straight in the eye, and knowing I would give anything to be with her, I said, "Yeah, sucks, and walked away. I mustered up the willpower to slap myself, and slapping myself for that oversight, I asked her out a second time. I didn't tell her it was a date. So she wasn't sure if I liked it or if we were just hanging out. I put his hand on my chest and he got nervous and asked, "Well, how was your day?" I invited him to look at my new bedding and test it out, so to speak. And he was like, "It's not really my type." Anyway, we are engaged and expecting a new addition. I was chatting with a girl in a bar, and the conversation turned to kissing. I asked her how I knew when a girl was ready to kiss me, and she said to grab her neck and pull her to me. I was dumbfounded and thought that maybe she wanted me to do that right now. But what if it offended her and I'd get in trouble later? In the end, I couldn't do it as I was indecisive and too steamed. Looking back, I wish I had kissed her. He bluntly asked me for a clue as to who I was in love with. I looked into his eyes and said, "That man has brown eyes." He only took the hint when he looked in the mirror. Anyway, it worked out, and we've been dating for a year now. Edit. I didn't want to give him too obvious of a hint, as it was unclear at the time, and I myself didn't know if my feelings for him were real, and we weren't particularly close. So I didn't say it outright just to avoid scaring him off. I later confessed to him about a month or so later, and he got really nervous. Well, things are great now, so problem solved. I'm not much for hints, but there was one thing I didn't miss. It was when she climbed over a table in a crowded bar and sat on my lap, looking me in the eye. Once, during a post-wedding party, a girl said to me, "I was hoping to have fun tonight, if you know what I mean." She said that to me twice, TWAMMES, and I simply replied, "I wish you luck." I know how bad it sounds, but low self-esteem has taken its toll on me over the years. At the time, I couldn't imagine a girl like that wanting to hook up with me. I was head over heels in love with this girl, and it was obvious to everyone else but me that she was even more in love with me. She told everyone else about it, but when I started to pursue her, showering her with compliments and care, she started acting weird. She was very rude to me, extremely dismissive, and wouldn't let me even get close to her. And, of course, I did what anyone in my shoes would do. I found another girl who was not only cool, but also reciprocated my behavior. We had a great relationship, alas, not for life, but I think it was a great time anyway. Right after I got back together with my ex, this rude and weird girl was telling her friends how depressed she was and actively, knowing I was back together with my ex, tried to hit on me even 2, 3 years later. Several times she tried to flirt with me in front of my girlfriend. If you like someone, just act mature and be more honest. Save these games for elementary school kids. Here's a story about why hints don't work on dumbasses like me. A girl literally confessed to me that she likes to be groped, and she would really like it if I did it. So, one day we had this conversation. Do you want to come over to my place? Me, why would I do that? I know, I'm good with women. She was like, "Hey, I might take offense to that." Me, don't. I'm just socially awkward. Well, if you come, you won't have to say much. Me, what are we gonna do then? Stare at each other. The conversation immediately broke down, and it took me a good year and a half to realize what I'd done. I had booked a room with only one bed for a trip I was planning for the two of us. He didn't take the hint. I had to resort to that after many subtle hints were ignored. He was my best friend before I fell in love with him. After he missed some even more obvious cues, I took it and just kissed him. Only then did he finally realize. We've been together for a year now. Edit. Obviously, I sent him the link to the hotel room and of course consulted with him before booking anything. How can you even think that I didn't ask him anything and just spent our vacation money? It wasn't a no-show. At the end of the day, no one would organize a trip with a friend and pay for everything without making sure the friend was in agreement and happy with everything. Also, my boyfriend has also had a crush on me since we met. So it's not just guys who can be inattentive. I've missed a few hints myself. We're just used to thinking, what? No way. It's not a hint. It's just an accident it happened, and there must be another reason. Don't make it up. A kiss is basically the only sign. But even so, ha 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 ha, if you can rationalize, you all suck at hints. It's even worse when you're also friends. Like, How am I suddenly going to be able to tell the difference between you suddenly having a crush on me and us just being friends? Since this is relevant, I also want to point out that if we guys try to add clarity and figure it out, the response we get is something along the lines of, "That's not true," or "Geez, it's kind of awkward to even be friends now." So, either way, it's a lose-lose situation. If we don't notice the signals, it means we're being dumb. If we react by trying to understand your secret messages, it means that we've got too much on our minds and everything is wrong. Or even worse, we're hitting on you. The fact that we are ALWAYS talking about it pisses me off. Not because I'm some inexperienced virgin out there, but because we pretend to be progressive because we can have these conversations, but it accomplishes nothing. How many times are we going to have this discussion before things change? Let's start being open. Let's break gender norms. We pretend we're more savvy and more open with girls than previous generations. But in fact, we're just talking without changing anything. This pisses me off even more.